So for anybody who hasn't read the book or seen the film already, tell our audience what it's about.
Well, it's based on a beautiful, really important book, and it's about a young woman.
In an unexpected twist shaking Hollywood, two of the industry's most admired stars have landed in a legal clash no one saw coming. Actor and director Justin Baldoni, known for his emotionally driven projects, now stands opposite Blake Lively, a powerhouse figure with a massive global fan base. What started as a promising collaboration on the film adaptation of the best-selling novel It Ends With Us has unraveled into a full-blown controversy that has captured the attention of insiders and audiences alike. Tension reportedly surfaced early, with quiet rumors of creative disagreements between the two behind the scenes. But the situation escalated dramatically when Blake Lively's own lawyer suddenly stepped away from her case, triggering speculation that her legal footing might not be as solid as many assumed. Adding fuel to the fire, rumors now suggest her husband, Ryan Reynolds, has been drawn into the turmoil as accusations, conflicting narratives, and behind-the-scenes betrayals continue to mount. The true shock hit when Justin Baldoni moved forward with a lawsuit, not only naming Blake Lively, but also including Ryan Reynolds and certain PR agents tied to the project. The filing stunned fans and industry observers, especially given that celebrities of their status typically handle disputes quietly to avoid damaging public scrutiny. Instead, the conflict has been pushed directly into the spotlight. According to Justin's claims, Blake allegedly led a targeted smear effort aimed at destroying his professional credibility. He says her influence behind the scenes nearly jeopardized the production, damaged his reputation, and threatened future opportunities, leaving his career in a vulnerable position. What started as quiet tension has now erupted into one of Hollywood's most high-profile standoffs, sparking serious questions about power imbalances, loyalty behind closed doors, and the fragile reality that often lies beneath red carpet glamour.
In her thoughts, but less so in her dialogue. So I disagree that Lily's doesn't have love in the book. Anyway, go on.
No, I mean,
I just had to stand up for Lily's,
absolutely, exactly what you're saying.
Humor.
Yeah, I feel like, especially playing like a younger version of her, like I really wanted to make sure that
Hollywood runs on power, polish, and carefully crafted partnerships, but behind the glitter, even the most celebrated stars can become part of the most explosive scandals. Few stories capture that contrast more sharply than the growing feud between actor-director Justin Baldoni and A-list actress Blake Lively, whose adaptation of It Ends With Us has spiraled from a celebrated collaboration to one of the most talked-about public conflicts in the industry. What started as quiet rumors of creative disagreements soon escalated into a legal battle full of allegations, counterclaims, and behind-the-scenes maneuvering dramatic enough to rival any on-screen drama. With Blake's husband Ryan Reynolds reportedly caught in the crossfire, powerful PR figures involved, and Blake's own attorney abruptly walking away, the situation has evolved into a full-scale Hollywood spectacle that fans and insiders can't stop watching. From the beginning, the partnership looked like a perfect fit. Justin Baldoni, known for his emotional storytelling, was determined to bring Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel to the screen. Casting Blake Lively, beloved by audiences and backed by massive star power, seemed like the ideal move to guarantee both commercial success and critical acclaim. But almost as soon as production began, whispers from inside the set hinted at growing tension. Reports claimed that beneath the polished appearances, egos were colliding. Blake was rumored to be unhappy with the level of influence she had over key creative choices, while Justin, acting as director, co-writer, and even part of the cast, naturally took the lead in shaping the film's direction. Crew insiders offered conflicting accounts. Some said Blake felt shut out of decisions, while others insisted Justin welcomed her feedback. Then the rumors sharpened. Blake allegedly accused Justin of overstepping boundaries during intimate scenes, making insensitive comments about her postpartum body, and steering the film to serve his agenda rather than theirs. These claims struck a nerve with the public, quickly gaining traction in an industry with a long history of sidelining women who speak up. Headlines began framing Justin as yet another male filmmaker dismissing a female co-star, and the narrative tilted heavily in Blake's favor. But Hollywood narratives rarely stay one-dimensional. Soon after, leaked text messages began circulating online, fragments of conversations between Blake and Justin that seemed, at first, to confirm accusations that he had been controlling and dismissive. However, When Justin's camp released a broader set of messages, the story shifted again. In fuller context, the exchanges painted a very different picture, one in which Blake appeared to be the one making ongoing demands, pushing for constant script adjustments, advocating new marketing strategies, and even influencing how fellow cast members presented themselves in interviews. With both sides presenting conflicting evidence, the situation became increasingly complicated. Was Justin unfairly vilified? Or was Blake trying to reclaim influence over a project tied to her image? The uncertainty only deepened when Justin took the unprecedented step of filing a lawsuit. The suit didn't just name Blake Lively, it extended to Ryan Reynolds and several publicists allegedly linked to the unfolding drama. The move sent shockwaves through the industry. High-profile disputes of this magnitude are typically resolved out of sight to protect reputations on all sides, but this one had gone public in a way few expected. The legal filing laid out serious accusations, casting the conflict as far more than a creative disagreement. And with each new development, the feud has raised deeper questions about power, loyalty, influence, and the realities hidden beneath Hollywood's flawless surface. The lawsuit alleged that Blake orchestrated a calculated smear effort aimed at cutting Justin out professionally. According to his claims, her behind-the-scenes interference nearly destabilized production, threatened his upcoming projects, and put his career on the line. But the most explosive allegations centered around what Justin referred to as Blake's dragons, a circle of powerful allies she allegedly relied on to steer public perception. Leaked messages hinted that these figures included Ryan Reynolds himself, along with top-tier PR strategists known for crisis control and media influence. In one supposed exchange, Blake allegedly signaled that if her conditions weren't met, whether involving script rewrites, marketing directives, or personal accommodations, she would have no issue activating her support network. To Justin, this was not mere celebrity confidence, but a form of intimidation. Comply or brace for a coordinated PR assault. The suggestion that Ryan Reynolds, adored worldwide for his humor and charm, might have quietly played a role in damaging another actor's reputation sent shockwaves through fans. No direct proof has tied him to any actions, but even the implication has fueled nonstop speculation. In an industry where leverage, alliances, and image can shape outcomes, the involvement of a spouse with that level of influence only deepened the intrigue. However, the most dramatic twist didn't come from leaked texts or rumor mills. It came from inside Blake's own legal team. In an almost unprecedented move, her attorney abruptly withdrew from the case and did so publicly, citing internal concerns about the strength of her claims. Entertainment lawyers are experts at managing ugly disputes quietly, preserving reputations while negotiating out of the spotlight. For one to step away, so visibly and decisively, was a shock to Hollywood observers. Insiders claimed the withdrawal came after reviewing unfiltered evidence, including full text exchanges, sworn crew statements, and documents supplied by Justin's team. According to these reports, the attorney discovered inconsistencies between Blake's official account and the materials presented. Key elements were allegedly framed or edited in ways that painted Justin in the worst possible light, while certain contextual details had been omitted. Privately, the lawyer was rumored to have admitted that several claims simply didn't align with the factual record. The fallout was immediate and severe. For Blake, the loss of a high-profile attorney in such a public fashion was a reputational blow. Overnight, supporters who once rallied behind her began to question the validity of her narrative. Had she amplified accusations to gain leverage, or had her lawyer backed away under outside pressure from studios trying to protect relationships with Justin? Theories spread rapidly. Some believed industry power players had intervened to protect future projects, while others saw the withdrawal as evidence that Blake's case was unraveling from within. What couldn't be denied was the shift in perception. Blake, previously cast as the wronged party battling an overbearing co-star, suddenly looked exposed, isolated, and possibly manipulative. Meanwhile, Justin regained ground in the court of public opinion, repositioning himself not as the aggressor, but as someone targeted by a coordinated effort fueled by influence and image control. Yet this saga is far from its final act. Hollywood is built on reinvention, and public narratives can flip overnight. With every new leak, each anonymous quote, and every legal development, the story becomes more tangled. What began as a dream adaptation of a cherished novel has descended into a cautionary tale about ego, power, and the cost of controlling the narrative. For fans, the chaos raises unsettling questions. Can the public ever truly know the truth about its idols? Or are audiences always consuming carefully engineered versions of reality? Is Justin a director fighting to salvage his name, or did Blake simply push back against a collaborator who overstepped? And what influence, if any, did Ryan Reynolds and the so-called dragons actually wield in shaping the fallout? One thing is certain, this feud has evolved far beyond the film that lit the spark. It has become a Hollywood drama in its own right, volatile, unpredictable, and unfolding not on movie screens, but through legal filings, media leaks, and the relentless scrutiny of a scandal-hungry public. As the legal fight stretches on and fresh evidence comes to light, the world isn't turning away. It's watching closely, waiting for the next revelation in a story that's already shaken the foundations of celebrity culture.
Romance novel, and it was the first time reading a book where the female protagonist, where I got to be her and experience that, and I sobbed at the end of it, and I just called her and I said, I have to find a way to make this into a movie, and here we are.
Well, we're so thrilled you finally came to.
In Hollywood, power struggles rarely stay buried for long, and the feud between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni has shown just how explosive things can become when private conflict erupts into public spectacle. What began as creative disagreements on the set of It Ends With Us has spiraled into a high-stakes clash filled with allegations, legal maneuvers, and reputational warfare that continues to shock fans and insiders alike. If leaked messages, attorney drama, and rumors of personal tension weren't enough to keep the speculation alive, Blake's latest move, seeking a gag order against Justin, has only fueled deeper curiosity about what's being kept from the public. After Blake's attorney abruptly withdrew from the case, leaving behind a wave of doubt and questions about credibility, many assumed the dust might start to settle. Instead, her team escalated matters by filing for a gag order intended to block Justin and his new attorney from sharing any further details with the press. For those familiar with Hollywood legal strategy, the move was anything but routine. A gag order often signals a race to regain narrative control, not confidence in the facts. The public immediately asked what many were already thinking. If Blake's account is strong, why silence the opposition? Wouldn't transparency strengthen her position? Justin's legal team responded swiftly, criticizing the request as both unfair and strategic. They pointed out that Blake had already spoken freely to major outlets, including the New York Times, using media coverage to frame Justin as the antagonist. If she had the ability to speak publicly, they argued, he had the right to defend himself. His attorneys claimed that the smear had already cost him multiple projects, potentially hundreds of millions in deals, and severely damaged his reputation. Restricting his voice now, they said, wasn't about fairness, it was about suppressing inconvenient truths before they surfaced. That response sent social media into overdrive. Audiences began to speculate about what Justin might reveal if he remained free to speak. Additional texts, behind-the-scenes footage, cast and crew statements, or other evidence that could upend the narrative entirely. The mere possibility of undisclosed bombshells kept fans glued to every update, waiting for the next headline to flip the story upside down. Meanwhile, whispers about blurred personal boundaries added a volatile new layer to the already tangled situation. Online sleuths began circulating theories that emotional entanglements may have complicated the on-set dynamic between Justin and Blake. One popular rumor suggested that Blake developed real feelings for Justin during the production, and that Ryan Reynolds eventually found out. If true, some argued, it might explain her urgency to control the storyline or her alleged efforts to push Justin out as tensions escalated. Fueling the speculation was a 7-minute voice note Justin released, reportedly sent to Blake late at night. In it, he apologized for past remarks that may have upset her, acknowledged his own shortcomings, and expressed admiration for her artistry. He also mentioned how deeply he valued the creative connection they shared, chuckling awkwardly at how personal his words might sound. For some fans, the recording hinted at emotional closeness beyond a typical professional relationship. For others, it was simply the voice of a director trying to resolve tension with a co-star. Either way, it exposed the layered nature of their interactions, part collaboration, part friendship, and possibly a mix of
I don't know if you just want to go down the line of getting her stamp of approval and knowing that, you know, you guys had so much liberty, but she loved it as well.
I mean, yeah, it was the most important thing for me. Yeah, I spent a lot of time with her when we were filming, and it was kind of the north.
4 years, Blake Lively appeared untouchable, stylish, witty, philanthropic, and seemingly free from controversy. She embodied Hollywood perfection, and alongside her husband Ryan Reynolds, she was celebrated as half of one of the industry's most adored power couples. Fans labeled them couple goals, and for a long time, that image seemed unshakable. Critics pointed out that while promoting her personal ventures, like her hair care line and alcohol brand, Blake occasionally glossed over the film's deeper themes. To some, it looked less like an oversight and more like a disconnect, raising uncomfortable questions about whether her wholesome public persona was genuine or the result of expert PR strategy. Still, none of that compared to the moment everything shifted, the stunning, public departure of Blake's attorney. In an industry where top-tier lawyers are paid to endure scandal, manage damage, and quietly broker settlements, a high-profile attorney walking away from a client, especially amid a headline-making dispute, is almost unheard of. And this wasn't a quiet exit. The attorney suggested that evidence they had reviewed did not fully support Blake's public claims, a revelation that sent shockwaves through Hollywood. Suddenly, fans and onlookers were forced to consider an unsettling possibility. What if Blake wasn't the victim in this story? The damage to her credibility was immediate. Overnight, Justin Baldoni, once accused of overshadowing and undermining his female co-star, began to look more like someone who had been targeted. The narrative shifted sharply, and with new momentum came new voices. Crew members who had remained silent began speaking up. Some described Justin as collaborative and respectful, while others directly contradicted Blake's version of events, suggesting she had overstated tensions on set. The accounts weren't identical, but the overall direction of the story began leaning heavily in Justin's favor. For Justin, the shift happened without major effort. As Blake's side stumbled, first with the attorney withdrawal, and then with the attempt to restrict his speech, public opinion began to swing away from her. In an effort to regain control, her team filed a gag order intended to stop Justin and his new attorney from speaking to the press. But the move backfired spectacularly. To observers, it looked less like protection and more like panic. If Blake's claims were solid, why silence the opposition? Justin's legal team quickly seized on the moment, pointing out that Blake had already spoken to major outlets, including the New York Times, framing Justin as the villain while he remained largely silent. They argued that the smear had cost him future projects, brand deals, and opportunities worth hundreds of millions. If she could publicly shape the narrative, why shouldn't he be allowed to defend himself? That argument resonated. Fans began to question whether the gag order was truly about justice or about preventing damaging information from coming to light. Speculation intensified. What might Justin's camp reveal if unrestricted? More texts, raw footage, testimony from cast and crew members? Social media erupted with theories, and every rumored leak or screenshot was treated like a clue in a real-time courtroom drama. Just as it seemed the feud couldn't get any more chaotic, a more personal angle emerged. Rumors circulated that Blake may have developed real feelings for Justin during production, an entanglement that, if true, might explain her alleged attempts to control the film's narrative or distance herself from him when things soured. Internet detectives dissected leaked texts and offhand remarks, searching for signs of something deeper. The release of a late-night voice note from Justin to Blake only intensified the speculation. In the 7-minute recording, he apologized for misunderstandings, acknowledged his flaws, and praised her artistry. He admitted how much he valued their creative connection, even laughing nervously at how intimate his wording might sound. To some, it was evidence of emotional closeness. To others, it was a thoughtful but professional attempt to smooth tensions. Regardless of interpretation, the message revealed a layered dynamic, part collaboration, part friendship, and possibly something more complicated beneath the surface. Whether those rumors hold truth or not, the fact that so many people believe them underscores how tangled and unpredictable the situation has become. But even that intrigue pales compared to the hard reality of Blake's legal vulnerability. Losing her attorney so publicly marked a turning point that may prove impossible for her to fully recover from. In Hollywood, perception is currency, and once cracks show in a carefully constructed reputation, they are rarely repaired. Today, the lawsuits remain active, and the resolution is uncertain. Defamation cases in the entertainment world can stretch on for years and often end in closed-door settlements protected by non-disclosure agreements. But given the intensity and visibility of this feud, a quiet ending seems unlikely. At this point, what began as a passion project meant to bring a best-selling story to life has transformed into one of Hollywood's most volatile and closely watched off-screen dramas. Both sides have already exposed too much for silence to feel satisfying. Unless they decide that mutual destruction isn't worth the cost, a trial looms, and with it, the possibility of even more explosive revelations. Blake Lively, once a symbol of charm and composure, now faces the most difficult chapter of her career. Every move she makes will be scrutinized. Every word will be dissected. If she continues the fight, she'll have to withstand questions about her attorney's exit and the contradictions already in circulation. If she retreats, critics will frame it as quiet admission of defeat. There's no easy path forward. Justin Baldoni, by contrast, appears cautious yet steady. He continues hinting at new projects and leaning into the reputation he built around empathetic, grounded storytelling. In an ironic twist, the very scandal that seemed poised to derail his career might, if he's ultimately vindicated, push him into greater prominence. In Hollywood, controversy cuts both ways. It can destroy reputations, but it can also burnish them, drawing a brighter spotlight than any PR campaign could buy. For fans of It Ends With Us, the entire saga has been bittersweet. A story meant to spotlight resilience, compassion, and breaking cycles of harm has been overshadowed by headlines about ego, image management, and behind-the-scenes conflict. What began as a high-profile adaptation of a beloved novel has turned into a cautionary tale about the fragility of celebrity narratives. So what happens next? That's the million-dollar question. If the case goes to trial, the world could see depositions, additional text leaks, and even appearances from Hollywood heavyweights called to testify. It could become one of the most publicized legal battles the industry has seen in years. Or, like so many scandals before it, it might quietly dissolve into a sealed settlement, leaving fans to wonder which truths were buried along the way. One fact remains indisputable. The moment Blake's attorney walked away, her narrative suffered a brutal blow. Whether she can recover with new evidence or remains permanently marked by this feud, her image has been altered in the public eye.